This is Dr. Anastasia Chopoulos, the scientific healer, and today what I'm going to talk about is words and phrases that I used to use and also what I've heard other people use on themselves that can stop them from moving forward. So thank you for coming. So today what I mentioned is I'm going to be talking about words and phrases that you should, well, let's not should all over ourselves, that will help you move forward compared to holding you back. And one of those phrases that I remember even hearing when I was young and in school is the phrase if. And I would always hear, if I pass the test, if I graduate, if I make it, if I get through my cumulative exams, if I pass, whatever obstacle is in the way to the end goal of whatever schooling they wanted, they would say if. And I don't know why I did this, but I always thought that my graduation was inevitable. And so I would say when. And so the first thing that is not good to use on yourself is the word if, because that implies that you won't make it. The word when I arrive somewhere, when I make it to this next goal, when I do that, that implies that you're going to make it. So using the word if, it's not being modest, it's not being shy. What it does is it messes your internal wiring and internal programming up to show you that there is a way out, right? So the next thing that I want to talk about is the way we use language all the time. And when I first met my former in-laws, they lived in Germany, and I was pregnant with my daughter, and my ex-husband and I flew to Germany, and my mother-in-law put out this beautiful spread. It was Christmas time, this beautiful spread with the most mouth-watering, delicious meals. And we were all marveling over how tasty it was and how wonderful it was. And my brother-in-law sat there. It's my ex-husband's older brother. He sat there and he's smacking his lips and he's going, "Not bad." And I then said to my husband, "What do you mean not bad? That was like a delicious, mouth-watering, tastiest meal I've had in a really long time." And he said, yeah, in where they lived in Germany, which was the southern part, saying not bad was a high compliment. But the problem is that the frequency of those words were so low, because what your subconscious hears is bad. It does not interpret the abstract word not. It doesn't hear it. So when you say something like, "I don't want to be poor, I don't want to be in debt, I don't want to be fat, I don't want to be tired," your brain hears, "I want to be tired, I want to be fat, I want to be poor, and I want to be in debt." And so what it does is it reverses the programming. And so the phrase to use in that case is, "I'd like this to be in my rearview mirror. I'd like, to have my debt to be in my rearview mirror. I'd like my debt to be in my past, that, from now on, I am no longer in debt." Right? So that is a really, really important phrase. It's this subtle difference between denying what it is you don't want and going for what it is you do want. And many of you probably already know this, but this is just a little bit of a reminder, the difference between, if and when. Like when implies inevitability and if implies doubt. Right? So using the correct language for yourself can really propel you forward. And, as I mentioned, I did this all the way back, and later I discovered that this was NLP, so that's neuro-linguistic programming. And the reason why this is really useful, even though for selling and things like that, a lot of people resent people that use NLP tactics in their sales. But what it does is when you use it on yourself, or let's say on your clients or your future clients, you're really helping them, because when we as healers or we as coaches want to help people move forward, right? If you give them a little modicum of doubt that it could not, that whatever they're striving for won't happen. It's the same when I got really, really sick 25 years ago. My version of myself was not to be sick, and I was, I just turned 41, and I said the buck stops here. My mom was sick. Both my grandmothers on both sides of my family, they were also sick. One grandmother died before she was 50. The other one stayed sick for most of her life, and she was always acting like everything was a big drama, and that, she couldn't disturb her sleep in the afternoon. She'd sleep from 1 to 4. This is Greek style, siesta, just like, everything in Southern Europe is siesta because it's hot during the day, right? So, all of this is, I always lived with the fragility of older womanhood, and I said the buck stops here. This is now going to be in my past, and I said I was going to get well, which is what propelled me into becoming a healer, because everything I discovered along this journey I am now passing on to you, and one of these is the wording. And for me, my career, for example, by using this kind of wording, it helped propel all 4 of my careers: graduate student, working in private industry, then working in research and working as a professor, and now as an entrepreneur. My view is there are no obstacles. My question would be, is how do I get there? Not how do I get there, but what would it take? So the third thing that, I talked about this with my class last night. Third thing that I talked about was the word how. So the word how implies that you're going to have to gain a bunch of knowledge for something really awesome to happen. So the word how stops people in their tracks. But if you reworded the how, like, how do I earn my next $10,000? How do I lose all of this excess weight I've got? How do I get myself out of debt? That implies that there is going to be a learning process and then a lot of work. So now what if you said to yourself, what would it take for me to get out of debt? What would it take for me to get healthy? What would it take for me to lose all that weight? Just asking that question, now it sets your brain into gear. Rather than focusing on what it is it doesn't know, it focuses on what it does know and guides you into the direction of being able to accomplish that. So that's the question I asked myself when I was 41, and I spent that year, between the year of 40 and 41, I spent more than 6 months sick and in bed. Okay, that was a lot. And prior to that, I hadn't been sick in well over 20 years. So I wasn't used to, being in bed and having infection after infection, whether it was a bladder infection, a sinus infection, just like a number of different problems. I had a big tumor. I was tired all the time. And I wanted to know, what would it take for me to get out of it? So I imagined myself in a deep well that was dark, and that I was going to take the well down brick by brick. And that's what I did, because I didn't ask myself if, I told myself when. that it was inevitable that I would make it out of the well and become healthy. And so now I just got back from the gym, and I just exceeded my previous record of bench press. I bench pressed 115 pounds this morning, and I feel awesome, right? So who wouldn't want to do that at age 65, almost 66, right? And so people say, well, I'm getting older. And oh, well, we all are. There's no way to get younger chronologically, but you ask yourself the question, what would it take for me to get healthier? And for me, getting healthier is getting up and doing exercise in the morning, eating a healthy diet, focusing on my breathing exercises, my gratitude exercises, and, a lot of my energy routines that I do every day. And what I'm doing right now is cutting cords. So people that hook into you, they want what you've got. It's like, I'll have what she's having. They want what you've got. And they're like, connecting. So people are connecting to me, and I release them and tell them that you have everything you need to be exactly who you want to be, right? And so let's review. The first thing is to use when and not if to imply inevitability. The second thing is to, instead of using negatives, use positives. And so instead of saying it's not bad, saying it's wonderful or great. And you can tell which words have higher frequencies because they make you feel happier or joyful or, loving towards people. So anything that raises your frequency to this place of joyfulness are the words that you want to use for yourself. So when somebody asks you, how are you? You can say, I'm fabulous. I'm having a wonderful day. And that tells your body, I'm having a wonderful day. And then it'll set the course for a wonderful day, right? Instead of saying, oh, I'm okay. It's not bad. Things are moving along. It could be better. And so then the third thing, of course, is instead of saying, how I'm going to do something, you say, what would it take for me to do it? Because what that does is it programs the subconscious to look for things it already knows, guides you in that direction, and allows you to actually program yourself and your body into actions that will take you into the next steps. Like, what would it take for me to erase all of my debt, right? And as soon as you focus on it, so, you all know, if you don't, my husband went into the hospital on August 27th with what they call fatal heart arrhythmia. And 2 days later, he coded, and they brought him back to life. It was, was touch and go for a while. And then on September 7th, he had open heart surgery, and they had 4 bypasses, right? So during this time, I'm thinking, oh, well, he's been working and it's been really helping our financial situation, and now he's not. And so I started focusing on, how am I going to pay off that debt? And then I went, oh my goodness, what am I thinking, right? Because I've invested in my business and myself, and so I have a business debt that I would like to erase over the next year. And I was making really great progress at it. And now, I started focusing on, oh, well, I still have this big debt. What am I going to do? And then I went, oh my gosh, use my own advice. So now I'm saying, what would it take? And now these opportunities are showing up when they weren't there before a month ago, right? So these new opportunities are showing up like dramatically. So and it's like magic. It works like magic. The universe loves that kind of energy, but so is programming your mind that way. So I hope this has helped you. I would like you to move forward and have the most success in your life, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for listening. If you like this video, give it, notice I just said if. When this video has given you some really valuable, juicy content and reminded you of things that you already knew, give it a thumbs up rating or a 5-star rating, share it with your friends, and be sure to subscribe to my channel. I will see you in the next video next week, same time, same place.